The engines from America were on the Fat Director's railway for a short time. They were useful and very popular with the other engines. The Fat Director and their owner, Mr. Fulton, were in talks about their respective companies. The Fat Director wanted to do all he could to help his old friend, while Fulton didn't want to take advantage of his hospitality. Meanwhile, Adam, the maroon engine, was lost in thought. Adam loved adventure. His favorite time was when he and Colin helped build the electric railway. He thought that him and Colin would love to live in America, even if it did mean leaving everything behind. Adam finally broached the topic to Colin 2 nights after the Americans had arrived. "I heard something interesting, Colin." "What sort of something?" "You know those visitors that have been around for the past few days?" "Yes, what about them?" Well, they're from the US and they're going to be going back home to build their old railway." "Okay, and?" "What if we join them? I mean, they're looking for engines to come with them." "And what? Leave here? We've been here for years." "Well, I know, but it can just get boring. I just thought it would be a fun adventure." Colin thought about it for a minute. It would be a nice change going to a new railway. "I'll think about it, Adam." "Really? Well, will you go without me if I don't?" "Of course not." Colin fell silent. He was lost in thought now. "Good night, Colin," Adam whispered. "Good night, Adam." The next day, the 2 maroon engines were lost in their own thoughts. The more Adam thought about the adventure, the more he wanted to go. Meanwhile, the more Colin thought about it, the more mixed he got about the whole affair. On one buffer, this was his home, and he'd miss it dearly if they left. On the other buffer, adventure was just what he and Adam needed. They had worked on this little line for far too long without pause. "Something wrong, old boy?" "Oh, I'm just wondering about what Adam said." "About America?" "Yes, it just sounds like a fun adventure. But this is our home. I don't know what I'll do when I'm gone." "Maybe if you go, you could arrange to come visit every now and then." "Maybe, driver. Maybe." Colin spent the rest of the morning shuffling up and down the line. He had just arrived back with the noon special to the junction when suddenly the alarm was raised. "Colin! Colin! Go to the next station. They need your help." "But yeah, right away, sir." The maroon tank engine tore out of the platform. He arrived at the next station to find an absolute mess. 2 wagons were derailed and smoldering. Henry was leaving with all the passengers that were at the station. "Those have the last of the munitions being stored at the old harbor in town. If they go up, well, a part of the town will go up too." "Leave it to me, sir," Colin said as he passed the burning vans and then reversed. Carefully, he was coupled up to the smoldering wagons. He swept away, dragging the vans with him. He arrived at a small moor near a forest in the middle of nowhere. He dropped the burning wreck and ran away. Just as he started up a small incline, the vent blew. The explosion rattled through Colin's frames and he heaved a huge sigh of relief. "You're a brave little engine. You've undoubtedly saved hundreds of lives," complimented the driver. Colin was switched onto a siding at Thomas's Junction. Later, the fat director arrived, joined by Mr. Fulton. "Excellent work, Colin. You're truly one of the bravest engines I've ever known." "Truly magnificent. I wish I could have an engine half as useful or heroic as you are." "Actually, sir, you can." "I beg your pardon?" "You see, sir, me and my friend Adam here have been thinking. We would like to join your railway expedition in the U.S., if you would allow it," said Topham. "This is something we've put a lot of thought into, and we're both very intrigued about the idea. It would mean I'd leave here with a bang, haha." The fat director was stunned. He looked from Colin to Adam and back again. "Is this truly what you gentlemen want?" "Yes, sir, please, sir, absolutely." "Well, Bobby, it looks like you have found yourselves 2 new engines. I never want to go against my engine's wishes, as you know. I'll get Lily and Edward to work your line now, and you two will go over to America. However," the engines held their breath, "this cannot happen without a celebration. Bobby, we must organize one." "Oh yes, at once, Topham." And the 2 men walked away, leaving Adam and Colin alone. "Are you sure, Colin? Today's events have reminded me how much I like to keep busy, and always on my wheels, so to speak. I think life in America will certainly fulfill my ambitions. Besides, we'll bring a dynamic flair to those Yanks." The 2 old friends chuckled as they headed into the gathering darkness. A few evenings later, the boat finally arrived. The fat director gathered all of his engines at the harbor to say goodbye. "We shall miss you. Adam and Colin, you have always been some of my most hard-working and most heroic engines. From saving people from fires to old munitions, our maroon engines have always proved the toughest we've got. Our other former W&S engines would like to have their final words too." Lily went first. "Adam and Colin, you've always been like brothers to me. In the few short years that I've been back out on these rails, no one has shown me as much kindness and compassion as you two. Thank you for being my friends, but more importantly, my family." "Well, I must say, boys, the branch line will be very different without you. The fat director says Lily and Edward are to be replacing you. I will miss my brothers more than you could possibly know, and I hope you guys will come visit us at some point. I know America is very far away, but hopefully you can come back just to see us." "Of course, we will all miss you. And Nick and Abe, it was a pleasure meeting you." "The pleasure was all ours." "Yes, thanks for being such welcoming hosts." "It was our pleasure." "We wish you all dry rails and smooth runnings for the rest of your days." 3 cheers to Adam and Colin, our maroon tank engines." The fat director's engines whistled and cheered as one by one the 4 engines were lowered into the boat. They continued to whistle as the ship departed. They only stopped as the ship faded into the distance. As they all headed back to the sheds, they were all lost in their own thoughts. They might not be leaving for America, but they were all wondering what the future might bring. But those are stories for other days.